Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something that's, well, pretty much running our entire world behind the scenes, information systems. Seriously, we're going to see how they connect everything from the raw data that seems like nonsense, all the way up to the huge decisions that affect, your morning coffee or even global travel.
All right, let's just jump right in. Take a look at this. 78945B. What does that even mean? Anything? Nope. On its own, it means absolutely nothing, right? It's just a jumble of letters and numbers.
So, to figure out what that jumble could mean, we got to start with a really basic but super important concept. And that's the difference between data and information. Trust me, getting this distinction is the key to unlocking how our whole digital world actually works.
Okay, so that string of characters we just saw, that's a perfect example of data. It's just raw facts completely unprocessed. Think of it like an employee number or the total hours someone worked, or maybe a part number for a car. By themselves, they don't tell you a thing. They're basically just noise.
So what's the magic ingredient? It's all about processing. That's the secret sauce. It's like an engine that takes all those raw, meaningless facts and churns them into something genuinely valuable. You could almost think of it like alchemy, turning lead into gold.
And once we process that data, organize it, give it some context, boom, it becomes information. All of a sudden, it's not random anymore. It has meaning, it's actually useful, and this is the big one, it can help us make a real decision.
So here's the bottom line. Data, that's just the raw ingredient. Think flour, eggs, sugar. But information, that's the finished cake. It's the valuable thing you get after you follow a specific process. Yeah, one is just potential, but the other has a real purpose.
Okay, so we've talked about this engine that does all the processing. Let's dig into that a little more. What is it? Well, that engine is what we call a system.
And when you hear the word system, don't just think about computers. Look around. The human body is a system. A car engine is a system. A whole computer network is a system. They're all just a bunch of different parts all working together to get something done.
And what's cool is that at their core, pretty much all systems follow the exact same simple model. It's 3 steps. They take an input, like our raw data, they have a process that changes it, and then they deliver a useful output. Input, process, output. Simple as that.
Right, so what happens when we put these 2 big ideas together? What do you get when you have a system that is built for one specific purpose, turning all that raw data into useful information?
Well, that's exactly what an information system is. It's a system built from the ground up to collect raw data, process it, and then serve up valuable information that helps a whole organization run smoothly and, of course, make better decisions.
But here's something that's absolutely crucial to remember. Look at these components. An information system isn't just about the tech, the hardware, and the software. It completely depends on people to actually use it and on processes to make sure it's used correctly. Without the people and the processes, all that fancy tech is basically just an expensive paperweight. All right, let's take this out of the theoretical and into the real world. Let's do a quick tour of the different kinds of information systems you'll find in the wild. And I guarantee you're interacting with these things way more often than you think.
Okay. First up is the Transaction Processing System, or TPS for short. You can think of this one as the absolute workhorse of the business world. Its whole job is to handle a massive volume of day-to-day transactions, and it has to do it super fast and without mistakes.
And you use these all the time. Every single time you pull cash from an ATM, that's a TPS. Scan your groceries at the checkout, TPS. Book a flight online, you guessed it, TPS. They are the frontline systems capturing the raw data of a business, one single transaction at a time.
So what happens to all that data the TPS collects? Well, that's where the Management Information System, or MIS, comes in. And MIS takes all that raw daily data and cooks it down into useful, structured reports for managers to look at.
This is how managers can actually track performance and make smart tactical decisions. Like a sales manager looking at a monthly report from something like Salesforce, or a warehouse manager checking on inventory levels to see what needs to be reordered.
Okay, now we're getting even more sophisticated with the Decision Support System, or DSS. This is a whole different beast. It's not really about routine, backward-looking reports. No, a DSS is all about exploring the future. It helps leaders analyze all kinds of what-if scenarios. So think about a weather forecasting system trying to model where a hurricane might go. That's a DSS at work. Or imagine a big retail chain trying to figure out what the next bestseller is going to be. They'll use a DSS to analyze past sales, look at market trends, and make a much more educated guess.
And finally, we get to the big one, the Enterprise Resource Planning System, or ERP. This thing is like the central nervous system for an entire company. Its job is to connect everything, finance, sales, HR, manufacturing, you name it, and pull it all together into one single unified system.
You've probably heard of some of the heavy hitters in this space, right? Companies like SAP and Oracle. The whole point of these massive systems is to create what they call a single source of truth for the entire company. It's about breaking down those silos between departments so that literally everyone is working from the same playbook.
So, the big question is, how do all these different systems actually work together? Because they definitely don't operate in a vacuum, right? Let's walk through a real-world example to see just how they all connect.
Okay, let's imagine we're running an airline. We've got a lot on our plate. We have to manage all the day-to-day stuff, we need to keep an eye on how we're doing, and of course, we have to plan for the future.
And this is pretty much how it works. See, at the ground level, you've got a transaction processing system handling every single ticket booking. All that raw data then flows into a management information system, which crunches the numbers and spits out reports showing which routes are making the most money. And then, finally, the executives take that information, feed it into a decision support system, along with other data like fuel costs or what their competitors are doing, and that is how they decide where to open up new routes. So here's a final thought. The next time you do pretty much anything, order a coffee, book that flight, or even just stream a movie, take a second and think about it. What incredible, invisible chain of systems did you just kick into gear?